If your footage still looks inconsistent with too harsh contrasts and hard to control in post, then maybe you're letting your camera decide too much. Filming in snow or bright landscapes in auto mode usually results in harsh, unrealistic contrasts. If you want cinematic footage, there are just 3 things you need to do. In this video I will show you my best practice workflow for shooting in log completely manual for drone and mirrorless cameras, so you always get clean and flexible footage. But let's have a quick look at the question, why is manual shooting better? Log footage looks flat, but it preserves information in highlights and shadows, informations you would otherwise lose forever. Normal footage often is very contrasty, and when you look at the shadows you will see black areas only, and these black areas cannot be recovered. Same goes for highlights. That's why shooting in a flat color profile is better, because you preserve shadows and bright areas. But everything only works properly if you control exposure manually and correct. Auto modes consistently change shutter speed or ISO. And that leads to inconsistent motion and exposure shifts. So let's have a look at the important things step by step. Lots of people are scared of shooting in manual mode, but if you focus on just a few basic things, it's actually very simple. And you will definitely get better results. And honestly, once you understand how to shape your footage the way you want it to look, shooting becomes a lot more fun. My workflow always starts with shutter speed. For natural motion I stick close to the 180-degree rule, which means I double my shutter speed according to the frame rate. For example, if you shoot in 24 FPS or in 25 FPS, you use a shutter speed of 1/50. If you shoot in 30 FPS, you use a shutter speed of 1/60. I lock this value first, both on my drone and my Sony Alpha 6700. Next is ISO. With log, you want to stay close to your camera's base ISO. Higher ISO doesn't give you more light, it just creates noise. So use the lowest native ISO your camera allows or stay below that value. And then don't touch it unless it's absolutely necessary. To find out your device's base ISO, go on the manufacturer website or use Google. The base ISO for my Sony Alpha 6700, for example, is 800 and 2500. The sensor performance is best at these 2 values or under ISO 800. Use a log profile. Log profiles record with reduced contrasts, preserving more detail in highlights and shadows. This allows you to adjust contrasts later in post, exactly where you need it. Here's my personal best practice for exposing log footage. I expose so that my exposure value sits between +0.5 and +1. This keeps noise low and protects shadows and details. If I'm filming a very bright scene, for example if you have a bright sky, I'm okay with exposure being slightly lower. Just have a look on your screen and check the bright areas. Don't only focus on the value. I'd rather protect highlights than clip them. Shadows can always be recovered in log. ND filters are the key. Once shutter speed and ISO are locked, you will control the exposure by using your ND filters. Especially on drones where you often have a fixed aperture. Here ND filters are essential. I personally use polarized ND filters on both my drone and my Alpha 6700. These ones are from Freewell, but there are plenty of different manufacturers who offer ND filters. Also DJI, for example, offer their own ones, but I had good experiences with the Freewells, so I always use them. They allow me to keep cinematic motion and control reflections and highlights. The important thing is, this workflow is identical for drones and mirrorless cameras. Log shutter, log ISO, control exposure with ND filters. The only difference is when you have an adjustable aperture. Then you have more options and you do not always need ND filters. Once you understand that all, shooting in log becomes predictable and repeatable, and it makes absolutely more fun when you edit your footage in post. Now let's have a look on the most frequent mistakes. Using auto exposure. This will make your footage look grainy when it's too dark. The camera will increase the ISO to compensate the missing light. So always set your ISO manually and fix it or disable auto ISO. Changing the shutter speed instead of using ND filters. When you increase the shutter speed, your footage will look unnatural because of the missing motion blur. A fast shutter speed look makes your footage look mechanic. Thinking flat footage means bad footage. You will get all the details and contrasts back when you edit your footage in post. Color correction is way easier with log footage, especially after using a correction LUT before you make your adjustments. Log is not meant to look good straight out of the camera. It's meant to give you more control. If you want to use your footage just after shooting without correction, keep using automatic settings and don't shoot in log. I hope this was helpful and you now have a better understanding of how to get better results by shooting in log and using manual settings on your drone or camera. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if this video helped you, I would really appreciate a like and a subscription to my channel. And turn on the notifications so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Thanks for watching and I hope to see you in the next one.